Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our Friday edition of our show. I'm your host, Joe Grado. I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by to kick off your weekend with us, or whenever you're listening to this edition of A's Day to hear our thoughts on athletics baseball. Today is Friday, June 12th. We've got a good show for you. We are going to recap what went down in the first leg of Las Vegas week as the A's really went to work offensively, setting a franchise record, clubbing 15 home runs over the three-game series, on their way to taking 2 out of 3 against the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll discuss what all went down. We'll be sure to hand out our 3 A-star performers as well. From there, we are going to discuss one early trade rumor well in advance of the August 3rd trade deadline, as it has been rumored that the A's have interest in acquiring left-handed pitcher Kris Bubic from the Kansas City Royals. We'll get to know Bubic a little bit, as well as what a potential trade package could look like and what impact he could serve joining this A's rotation that is currently dealing with some injury. And then before we get on out of here for the weekend, we are going to preview their next series, which continues on for 3 more at Las Vegas Ballpark in Summerlin before they return home to West Sacramento to resume the continuation of their homestand. They are welcoming in the Colorado Rockies for 3 over the weekend. We'll get to know them a bit, give our A's home run prediction and series prediction before getting on out of here and preparing to enjoy some more athletics baseball. Thank you all for stopping by. We're going to get right on to it. Holy Toledo, let's go A's. All right there, A's Day fans. Thank you so much for tuning into our Friday show, or once again, whenever you are enjoying this edition of our podcast, we appreciate all of your support. We're going to jump right in. We are going to start with our recap of the first leg of Las Vegas week as the A's welcomed in the Milwaukee Brewers to Las Vegas Ballpark in Summerlin, Nevada for 3. Game 1 this past Monday featured a lefty battle, with Kyle Harrison coming into this game sporting a 1.57 ERA, going up against the A's left-hander Jeffrey Springs. A showcase week to the people of Las Vegas to start getting to know the Athletics, who will be calling Vegas home to kick off the 2028 season. Lefty battle slated here as the expectation was an offensive explosion, and boy, did this game not disappoint in that fashion. Jake Bauers would get the scoring started in the first for Milwaukee as he would lace an RBI single, bringing home Jackson Chourio to grab the early 1-0 lead. In the bottom half, the A's would get that run back immediately. On the first pitch he saw from left-handed pitcher Kyle Harrison, Shea Bangaliers demolishes a solo home run to left at a major league leading 483 feet to tie the game 1-1. In the second, the A's would grab the lead via a 2-out opposite field RBI double by Alika Williams, as it's now 2-1 A's. In the third, the Brewers offense would get going against Springs. Bryce Terang demolished a no-doubt 2-run home run to right center. He knew it immediately, getting all 443 feet into it before Andrew Vaughn added a solo home run to center. 2 batters later, it's now 4-2 Milwaukee. In the bottom half, the A's would answer again. Welcome back to the lineup, Max Muncy, as he delivered a 2-run RBI single to center, bringing home Nick Kurtz and Colby Thomas to tie the game 4-4. Next batter up, Tyler Soderstrom smashes a Sody Pop as he demolishes a 3-run home run to right center, and once his 9th homer of the year comes down, the A's now have a 7-4 lead. 2 batters later, Zach Geloff wanted in on the home run derby as he smashes a no-doubt solo home run to left, his 7th on the year, as it's now 8-4 A's, knocking out Harrison in the process, who once again came in with a 1.57 ERA and leaves this one after giving up 8 runs in 2 1/3 innings of work. The Brewers would start to chip away as they get an RBI double from Andrew Vaughn, as it's now 8-5 A's. After getting the final out of the 5th, that would bring Jeffrey Springs' night to a close. To the 6th we go, the A's would get another. How about the big Amish Nick Kurtz smashing a solo home run to left off old friend Joel Kuhnel, who was recently acquired by the Brewers over the weekend. It's Kurtz's 13th homer of the year. It's now 9-5 A's. In the 7th, the Brewers would get a little closer. Jake Bauers would drive a 2-run home run to right center field to move the Brewers within striking distance, as it's now a 9-7 game. In the bottom half, the A's would get that one back as Tyler Soderstrom, he smashes another Sody pop, another homer in this one, this time of the solo variety to center, his 10th of the year, as it's now 10-7 A's. The Brewers would get one in the 8th via a wild pitch that got past the plate, allowing Luis Rengifo to scamper home, as it's now 10-8. To the 9th we go. On is Hogan Harris to finish this one off, as he induced an inning-ending double play the inning prior. Harris has been nails in high-leverage moments. Unfortunately, it just wasn't his inning to start in this one. After the Brewers led off the inning with a single and a walk, Andrew Vaughn delivered once again, this time a 2-run double to left, bringing home both runners, and now this game is tied 10-10. To his credit, however, Harris bared down and ended up striking out the next 3 batters to give the A's offense an opportunity to walk things off in the bottom of the 9th. The A's would be able to scratch across a run in the inning, the A's were not able to scratch across a run in the inning, meaning we're on to the 10th for some free baseball in Vegas. To the 10th we go. Scott Barlow on, and the Brewers put together a high-volume offensive inning. Jackson Chourio brought in a run via the sac fly before 2 batters later, William Contreras smashed a 3-run home run to center. He swung so hard he ended up on his butt, but it didn't matter. By the time the ball came down, it capped a 4-run Brewers 10th inning and gives the Brew Crew a 14-10 lead. Never say never, as with 2 outs, the rally was on for the green and gold. Shea Langoliers would bring home Henry Bolte from second via an RBI single to cut the deficit to 14-11. Next up, down to his last strike, Nick Kurtz would hit a no-doubt 2-run laser to right his second of the game as well, and 14th now on the year, as it's now a 14-13 game. The next batter up, Jonah Heim, would deliver in a big way. Jonah, are you kidding me? He leaves the yard to the opposite field via a solo home run, his 4th on the year. The A's are flexing their muscle in the 10th, going back-to-back and tying this game 14-14. What a wild one. Brent Rooker, next up, just missed ending this one, getting the ball a little bit down the barrel, flying out to left, meaning we're heading to the 11th. Jose Suarez was nails and struck out the side, giving the A's an opportunity to walk it off in the bottom of the 11th. However, the A's could not figure out the nasty Uribe, meaning we would need the 12th. To the 12th we go. Jose Suarez still in there. Christian Yelich ended up stealing third base, setting up man on first and 1 out after Chourio struck out swinging. Bryce Terang would smash a ground ball up the middle. Jeff McNeil fielded, trying to get the runner at the plate. The throw got away, and Yelich came home to score, as it's now 15-14 Brewers in the 12th. Suarez would get the next 2 hitters to keep it a 1-run ball game. To the bottom of the 12th we go. The A's offense has come from behind multiple times in this one. Did they have one more rally? Unfortunately, the tying run would be left stranded at third base. After an Alika Williams sac bunt that moved Geloff to third, Langoliers would strike out. Kurtz was intentionally walked before Jeff McNeil would strike out, swinging to end this ball game. What a heavyweight fight we were treated to. Ball game over. A's drop a heartbreaker on their first night hosting in Vegas, 15-14 in 12 innings. Deep breath. This, perhaps at the time of recording, is the most exciting game of the 2026 season. Crazy stat time. 11 home runs were hit in this game. 7 by the A's, 4 by the Brewers. 29 runs came across, 15 by the Brewers, 14 by the A's. 34 hits combined, 9 walks, 30 strikeouts. An absolute offensive explosion and juggernaut. We knew coming in, and we discussed this on our last episode when we were previewing this series, that Las Vegas Ballpark is really regarded as a launching pad between the desert elevation and the structure of the overall ballpark, the smaller dimensions. That ball really does fly out there, and you could see it from the jump. I mean, the first pitch that Shea Langoliers hit out 483 feet, it looked like a rocket was seriously launched into the air. It was an absolute missile. Everything was hit hard, and if you're a fan of offense, this was certainly the game for you. But what I really got out of it was the competitive nature of this A's team that we continue to love about this young group. Even when things look dire and bleak, they keep fighting back and providing answers as much as they humanly can. They came from behind at multiple junctures in this game. They were down 14-10 in the 10th inning. Nick Kurtz, they were down 14-11, down to their final strike, and they come back and tie the game at 14. I love the fight in that. I understand it's hard to win baseball games on a nightly basis. I understand the A's had a lead in this game, multiple leads in this game. But this was a really good team in Milwaukee that they welcomed in, and they battled them toe for toe. It was really a joy to watch in terms of the competitive nature that I saw from this A's team. This is a Brewers team that had the best record in baseball last year, and they've been one of the hottest teams in the National League once again at this juncture of the season this year. I mean, mere inches away from winning this ball game at multiple times. And what an introduction to Vegas indeed. It seemed like every fly ball was literally going to leave the ballpark. And they almost did. Even the outs that seemed like routine would be drifting onto the warning track at an unusual trajectory where you're seeing outfielders backpedal more than usual just because they're not used to baseball having that specific type of flight with the differing elevations really altering the flight path of the baseball. Jeffrey Springs in this one, he wasn't his best, but battled considering the extreme hitter-friendly environment. I mean, getting out of this one, limiting this Brewers team to 5 runs, I think is a win in itself. You would have liked to see if he can go a little bit deeper in this game, but nevertheless gave the A's a fighting chance to win the ball game. And I just want to give a shout-out and give a clear example of having mental fortitude. And I'm going to talk about Hogan Harris in the 9th inning. Hogan Harris, he comes in and 2-run score when the A's went into the inning winning 10-8. The Brewers came back. They got a 2-run single, I believe, or a 2-run double off of them to make it 10-10. Blows the save. And in a lot of situations, a lot of relievers might have possibly imploded and even given up the lead. But I think he showed a lot of fortitude right there, coming back and understanding that he has a new task to complete. Now that he was unable to preserve the lead, now it is his job to go out there and keep this game tied. And he excelled at that. He refocused. He really bared down. He got nasty. He struck out the next 3 hitters that he saw. So as a competitor, as someone that you like to see to have that kind of mindset at the back end of a bullpen, I thought even in a losing effort, that meant a lot to me. And it's a reason why Harris is always one of my favorite options coming out of the back end of that A's bullpen. Jose Suarez was nails in this one too as well. I thought he did a great job despite giving up that run in the 12th before that. Struck out 4 batters over his work. I think he did a really good job giving the A's offense an opportunity to win this one. It just wasn't meant to be. The offense really did come to play as a collective. They went 16 for 51 in this one, 7 home runs, 14 runs, 5 walks, 20 strikeouts, which is typically alarming, but I think the hitters were really playing into the environment of the home run friendly nature of the ballpark. And I think we were even seeing, and think the swings dialed down as the series went on, that I think guys were really going for it in that first one. So I don't think that is something that we'll characteristically see. If we see that after the A's come back after their return from Vegas, then that'll be cause for future concern. But for now, I think the elements played a factor in that. Guys really trying to get into baseballs to join the home run party. But what I really like seeing was they did cash in multiple times with runners in scoring position. They went 5 for 14 in this one, which is vastly improved from previous games. And they were able to knock in 7 2-out RBIs. So those are backbreaking to a team. And I know they came out on the short end of this one. But like I said, a bounce here, a bounce there. This game could have gone in the A's favor. And then putting the pressure on the Brewers late in innings is ways offense really becomes deadly. When you're putting that pressure where you feel like you're about to get off the hook and let your offense go back to work, but now that lineup is staying out there, really grounding out that pitcher who's trying to get that third and final out. That adds extra stress levels to that opposing team that could really pay dividends in the back end of a game where a team may have more fatigue than accustomed to. So really was encouraged by that showing without a doubt from the offense. It was definitely good to see Max Muncy back in the lineup. Welcome back after he missed some time recovering from that fracture. And he contributes immediately with that 2-run single that tied the game at 4 back in the third at the time. Tyler Soderstrom, he's been absolutely sizzling, and he's loving Vegas. He hits 2 home runs in this one, 4 RBIs on a 3-for-4 night. Over the last 15 days, he's hitting .405 with 5 homers, 10 ribbies, 3 doubles, 11 walks against only 6 strikeouts, hitting to a 1.362 OPS. Talk about someone that's absolutely dialed in. And the multi-homer game is the 6th of his career. Nick Kurtz, the big Amish, he went 3 for 6 in this one, 2 home runs himself, 3 runs batting in, as those were the 2 main catalysts of the A's offense in this one. I mean, there were tons of contributions up and down the lineup. Shea Langoliers, homering on the first pitch of the game was an absolute tone setter of the offense that we were going to be treated to. But how about Nick Kurtz over the last 30 days? 309, 9 homers, 28 ribbies, 5 doubles, 24 walks, and a 1.107 OPS. Langoliers, like we mentioned, 3 for 7 in this one, including that monstrous home run. And that home run is the longest home run at the time of recording to date across baseball, measured at 483 feet. It was an absolute moonshot. And Jonah Heim, what a moment, down to their last out. He drives a pitch that just sneaks over the right field fence to tie the game 14-14. Impressive stuff. He's been a great addition as a backup to Langoliers. Really takes pressure off where Langoliers doesn't feel that he's forced into action behind the plate more times than not. If Langoliers needs a few more days of half days of rest where Langoliers can remain in the lineup, be the designated hitter for the day, there is a lot of trust and confidence that there isn't a drop-off defensively and now offensively from Jonah Heim at the backup position. So definitely good to see him picking it up without a doubt. He's been a nice addition to the green and gold. Certainly disappointed in the outcome, but definitely got to applaud the fight in these A's. There was no quit in them without a doubt. And I feel like it really set the tone for how this series was going to go. You just really felt at different junctures that the A's were going to win this one, that a bounce here, bounce there, it was going to go in their favor, but really felt like this game brought out some positive energy in their dugout, and you're hopeful that it would translate to their 2026 theme, where they drop the first one and they come storming back for the back end to take the series. With 29 runs scored between these two, it's hard not to see what exciting developments occur in Game 2 the following night in this Las Vegas series. This past Tuesday, Game 2 featured Robert Gasser going for the Brewers, going up against JT Ginn. In this one, the Brewers would get the scoring started as Jackson Chourio smashed a 2-run home run to right as they would grab the early 2-0 lead. In the bottom half, the A's would get one back from the thunderous bat of the big Amish, Nick Kurtz, as he smashed a solo home run to right center, his 15th on the year, as the deficit is cut to 2-1. In the second, the A's would capture the lead via a momentous moment 4-1 of the Young Guns. Henry Bolte demolished a 2-run home run to right center field for his first career Major League home run in the show. Congratulations, Henry Bolte. What an exciting moment for the rookie as he gives the A's a 3-2 lead. In the fourth, the Brewers would tie the game up via a Sal Frelick RBI single as it's now 3-3. To the fifth we go. Another hot hitter delivered. How about a Sody pop? Tyler Soderstrom smashed a two-run home run to right center field, his 11th on the year, one of the hottest hitters in baseball to move the A's back ahead 5-3. 2 batters later, Jonah Heim would leave the yard via a solo home run to center, his 5th home run of the year, his 4th as an Athletic, to increase the lead to 6-3. On to the 6th we go. The Brewers would get to gain a bit more, an inch closer on the scoreboard. Sal Frelick brought in a run via an RBI groundout, and another run came in to score via a Christian Yelich RBI single, narrowing the score to 6-5 and bringing it close to JT Ginn's day. In the bottom of the 6th, the A's would get a slight amount of insurance as Zach Geloff joins the home run party via a solo home run to left field for his 8th on the year, increasing the lead to 7-5. Would that hold up? You betcha. Thanks to the solid work from Elvis Alvarado and Mason Barnett in the A's bullpen, they put up zeros to preserve the lead for the victory. For the A's, it went Ginn to Alvarado to Barnett, who picks up his first career Major League save. Congrats to him. Ball game over. A's win 7-5 and tie the series up, winning their first game in Las Vegas. So, again, it's really tough to gauge the performance of these pitchers. JT Ginn, not his finest performance, but kept the team in the ball game and left the game with the lead. But the story in this one, aside from the continued contributions from this offense, the bullpen was absolutely lights out. Absolute dominant, nasty stuff. Shout out to Elvis Alvarado and Mason Barnett. They covered 3 1/3 innings in this one. They didn't let any base runners, no runs, and they struck out 8 batters. That's dominating stuff. That's the way to lock down a 2-run victory. The offense slugs their way to victory in this one. 5 more home runs, marking 12 home runs through the first 2 games of this series, which at the time tied a franchise record with the 96 A's, who also hit 12 home runs during a 2-game stretch. Kurtz and Soderstrom are on absolute tear. They're driving the ball with authority all over the ballpark. They're hitting the ball out of the ballpark, and I know the elements perhaps have helped Sody a little bit more, but nevertheless, it's good to see him driving it gap to gap and really seeing his numbers increase significantly in a positive fashion. In the blink of an eye, those guys are climbing up the home run leaderboards, and it's been a joy to watch them slug their way leading this offense for this stretch of time. Great bounce back and team collective victory in this one. They collect their first victory in Vegas. Exciting stuff, and really sets them up with an opportunity in the 3rd game of this series. I think ended up being the most exciting series in baseball this week, with an opportunity to determine who is going to be the winner of this 3-game set, as now both teams have tied 1 game apiece. As now the A's have an opportunity, the season opportunity, and win the first leg of Vegas week in the rubber match of the 3-game set, as Brandon Sproat would be taking the mound for the Brewers, going up against Jack Perkins. The Brewers once again would start the game off with the scoring, and scoring once in each of the first 3 innings. In the first, Andrew Vaughn would deliver an RBI single. In the second, catcher Gary Sanchez left the yard via a solo homer. And in the third, Jackson Chourio smashed a whole solo home run himself. Through 3 innings of play, the Brewers held a 3-0 lead. The A's did not have a ton of success offensively against Brewers starter Brandon Sproat until they received a power jolt from an unlikely source. In a series of firsts, Alika Williams hammered a solo home run to left. It was his first career home run in the major leagues. Congrats, Alika, to such an amazing accomplishment. Enjoy it. It'll be a memory that won't go away for a long time, if ever. The deficit with the solo homer to left is cut now to 3-1. In the 7th, the A's would continue to tap into their power to move ahead in this one. Carlos Cortez demolished a solo homer in the right center, his 6th homer of the year, traveling at 461 feet to move within 3-2. After a Zach Geloff double, a Vegas moment was had for the A's to put a stamp on this series in Summerlin. You could not script up anything better. I couldn't picture anyone that can use this more and seem to take out his frustration on the baseball. Measured at 463 feet, the Law Dog delivered. Lawrence Butler smashed a go-ahead, no doubt, 2-run home run to right center. The green and gold getting rolling as they now have a 4-3 lead. The dugout is going nuts. Lawrence Butler lets out the emotion, all the frustration coming out. What a big Vegas moment for the green and gold. The A's, like I mentioned now, are up 4-3 in the 7th. Would that lead hold up? You bet once again. For the A's, it went Perkins to Medina to Suarez to Barlow to Harris to Alvarado, who picks up his first career Major League save. Congrats to him. Absolute dominant stuff at the end once again. Ball game over. A's come from behind with a rally in the 7th to win this one 4-3 and take the series from the Milwaukee Brewers 2 games out of 3 in a thriller from Las Vegas. So Jack Perkins, I think all in all, fared decently well in this one. I think the command was lacking a little bit, which led to him having to come from behind in counts and elevated his pitch count, which led to him having to exit sooner rather than later. But through 4 innings of work, only limited him to 3 earned runs with the type of launching pad that Las Vegas ballpark had been all throughout this week. I think it's a minimal victory. It leaves pretty unscathed, allowing the offense an opportunity to eventually see Sproat enough to get better swings off of him. And congratulations to Alika Williams. He hits his first career home run in this one. Hopefully it's the first of many to come. And it feels like this series has been filled with a bunch of firsts on this A's team. Absolute dominant stuff from Elvis Alvarado. We're going to have a conversation here in a moment. Actually, you know what? Let's jump into it right now. The closer by committee is done. It has to be. If you flipped on the TV for the final 2 nights of the first part of the Vegas series against the Brewers, and you sell Elvis Alvarado, you tell me, what did you see? Did you see someone that was looking to figure out a way to find the strike zone? Did he look like someone that was hesitant? Absolutely not. He looked absolutely dialed in, revving it up to 100 to 101 miles an hour with command, working in his slider, high whiff percentages, high swing and miss, generating strikeouts practically every batter. In fact, he has struck out 6 of the last 7 batters he has faced. Absolute dominant stuff. You know what I saw when I was watching him? The closer. And we had talked about this in the past offseason episode. I believe it was as part of his preview, or maybe it was part of the team preview. It was one of those. Elvis Alvarado should be groomed to be this team's next closer. And I know there were command issues last year, but all in all, he was much better than poor. And I know the command seemed to go a little bit awry to kick off this year, but a quick trip to Las Vegas seems to have figured all that out. And I'm talking about his demotion to AAA, not this series in particular. But also with this series in particular, I think this has Alvarado's confidence at a level it's never been this high at the major league level. He went out there and just blew it by those Brewers hitters one by one by one by one. Absolute filthy dominant stuff. I felt the most assured. Now, I feel pretty confident when Harris is closing out games as well. But the absolute dominance that Alvarado went about his business and his work with is what you want out of your closer. You want no doubt that these 3 final outs, these are mine, and this game is over. If it's a 1-run lead, a 3-run lead, does not matter. And Alvarado went out there and just blew it by everyone, working to all quadrants of the zone. And to me, let's put to rest this closer by committee. Let's start to help give this bullpen an identity that I feel like stepped up in a big way in this series, especially considering the ballpark factors. I thought, especially in games 2 and 3, this bullpen was tough as nails. Absolute dominant stuff. So I just wanted to bring that here. I was thinking that as soon as that final pitch was delivered, Alvarado should be the closer for the foreseeable future. Now, if something goes awry, obviously you got to be adaptable, flexible. But I think Alvarado has come back from AAA hungry. We were calling for it on here for him to get promoted, that it was time after some good showings towards the tail end of his time at AAA this year, that this A's bullpen can use that type of swing and miss. And he hasn't skipped a beat. He looks like a different guy. So why not give him that opportunity and see if you can form an identity with this bullpen. Another power surge in this one, 3 more home runs from the A's, which sets a franchise record for most home runs in a 3-game stretch, 15 from this A's group. I think the previous record was 14 by that same 96 team. What a moment for Lawrence Butler. Talk about a guy that this season could not have gotten off to a more nightmare start than this. Hitting well below 200. The power just has not been there. And it seems like with the limited action from spring training and even the limited onboarding from the knee surgery that he had in the offseason, seems like the timing just has not gotten back to form. And we were calling for it here, that just for his mental well-being and perhaps to give him an opportunity to see some balls go through the hoop, a quick trip down to AAA. We've seen it happen before. It's happened to many guys in professional baseball for many years. It's going to continue to happen. That you see sometimes that one of those coaches down the farm may see something. Maybe sometimes having some good results against minor league pitching unlocks some of that confidence that has been lacking. But let me tell you something. This confidence, this swing, unlocked, I believe, all the confidence that led to the decision on why the A's originally extended Lawrence Butler on that 7-year contract. He got off an A swing, and he has been someone as of late that has a much higher BABIP than his actual batting average. He's been hitting the ball hard, but right at defenders. The way that he celebrated this home run, it was as if, please go ahead and try and catch that. Enough is enough after a while. You can only take so much, and it happens in such a big moment. Down 1 with that 2-run home run, you're up 1, now having an opportunity to win a series against a very good opponent. If anyone on this A's roster needed that in this lineup, beyond far, it had to be Lawrence Butler. You saw it in his next at-bat. Took an A swing once again. He missed it, but it looked like a lot more confidence in that swing, a lot more conviction, and not getting caught in between because of a lack of confidence. The confidence sometimes can return with one swing, and that was an absolute monster of a blast that maybe we're going to start to see some good things from Lawrence Butler sooner rather than later. And with an opponent continuing to play in Vegas this weekend and an opponent that hasn't pitched it as a collective rather well, there will be some offensive opportunities for this A's team coming quicker. So hopefully this is the turnaround point for Lawrence Butler. What a moment. Absolutely electric stuff. The A's have their first Vegas moment, and it happens in such a clutch time and leads the Green and Gold to winning their first series hosting in Las Vegas. The offense in this series, absolutely productive from top to bottom as a collective. 299, which was good for 35 hits they collected, 35 for 117, 15 home runs, 25 runs scored, a 1.086 OPS, a 192 WRC+, and 11 walks drawn. That is a potent offense that is going to put the pressure on an opposition. I don't care who you're playing. even a team of high quality like the Brewers, you put that type of production on the team, it's going to make their life difficult trying to overcome that. That's what I'm talking about. This is why there have been certain points in this roller coaster of a season so far where maybe I have voiced a little bit of frustration with this club, because this is the potential that I see. They continue to show it against these teams above 500. Look what they did in that New York trip. Look what they did now against the 41-25 Milwaukee Brewers, running away the National League Central at the moment. This is one of the best teams in baseball, and you just took 2 out of 3 from them. Now, I know you didn't face off against Mizorowski, but you face who you face. It was an absolute impressive display of competition. I know the conditions weren't conducive to normal play to be allowed to be played, but both teams had to go through those conditions. And the Brewers were a bounce or two away themselves from perhaps being on the winning side of this series outcome. I feel this was the most exciting series of the week. Back and forth these two teams went, and it really was an exciting way to kick off A's baseball in Las Vegas. But this is what I'm talking about, rising to the occasion and playing to your potential. This A's team, I know they are still, and I'm not getting overly frustrated, we've talked about this, that we understand that they are still going through their learning and development process, and there are going to be bumps and bruises along the way. But these were great days. All 3 days were excellent days of development in terms of the competition side for this team as a collective. Even with all the adversity they went in that first game and lost by 1 in a high-scoring octane-type game, they find a way to pick themselves off the mat, take the next 2 games, come from behind, different contributors up and down the lineup, different contributors from this bullpen stepping up and leading this team to victory. There were so many things, so many encouraging things to see. And I'm sure from an A's perspective now, they can't wait to get to Las Vegas. But now they have the rest of this season and all of next season in Sacramento until then. But West Sacramento is a launching pad as well. So maybe we're going to see some more of the return of their offense production that we're seeing in Vegas return to Sacramento as well. But impressive stuff. A's improve to 33-35 on the year and look to keep up the momentum going into the weekend, continuing to reside in Vegas for 3 more games. But before we move ahead, we want to hand out our 3 A-star performers for their work during this series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Our 3rd star, we're giving it to right-handed pitcher Elvis Alvarado. Absolutely dominant stuff. He appeared in 2 of the games in this series, covering 2 1/3 innings of work. No hits, no walks, no runs, 6 strikeouts. He struck out 6 of the 7 batters he faced. Absolutely dominant stuff. And he also picked up his first Major League save. Congratulations to Elvis once again. Our 2nd star performer, we are going to give it to the first baseman, the Big Amish, Nick Kurtz. He went 5 for 12 in the series with 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, 4 walks. And our first star, we're going to give it to the left fielder, one of the hottest hitters in baseball, Tyler Soderstrom. He went 5 for 11 in this series. 3 Sody pops, homers of course, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, and he didn't strike out once in this series at all. Talk about getting it done for your team. Those are our 3 A's star standout performers. And that completes our Brewers series recap. Once again, the A's took 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee to kick off their Las Vegas residency before now heading into the weekend to welcome in their next opponent for 3 more before heading back to West Sacramento. But before we head to previewing the series and their next opponent, we have an early trade rumor to discuss. The A's have expressed interest in adding to their rotation via acquiring the services, like we mentioned at the top of the show, of left-handed pitcher Kris Bubic from the Kansas City Royals. Royals left-hander Kris Bubic is a player of interest for the Athletics in advance of the trade deadline. Bubic is a free agent after the season and thus a logical trade candidate if the Royals can't get back into contention. The first order of business is Bubic's health, as a southpaw hasn't pitched since May 14th due to soreness in his throwing elbow. Bubic downplayed the severity of the problem at the time of his placement on the 15-day injured list, and while he is already beyond the 15-day minimum, and he has been throwing bullpen sessions and seems to be on track with a standard throwing progression. Any sort of elbow issue is a particular concern given Bubic's injury history, as he has pitched only 213 innings since the start of the 2023 season due to a Tommy John surgery and a rotator cuff strain. After the Tommy John procedure shelved Bubic for most of the 2023-24 seasons, he returned to rotation in great form and earned an all-star nod last year before the rotator cuff issue prematurely ended his season in late July. Things haven't gone quite as smoothly in Bubic's latest return to action, as he posted a 4.11 ERA over his first 9 starts and 50 1/3 innings of the 2026 season. Bubic is still striking out a decent number of batters, but his 12.6% walk rate is well above his previous career average of 9.4. Batters are also chasing Bubic's pitches for far less than they did in 2025, and having a lot more success against both his sweeper and his low 90s fastball. Still, even if Bubic projects as more of a mid-rotation or even a back-end starter than a frontline arm, that still makes him a valuable rental commodity. Bubic has roughly $3.88 million remaining on his $6.15 million salary, so he is a fit in any team's budget. Assuming Bubic is back in Kansas City's rotation within a couple of weeks, the A's and plenty of other teams figure to be scouting the veteran's readiness in the lead up to the August 3rd trade deadline. There is so much parity given the American League that it may take well over a month for most teams to fall within buyer and seller categories, and naturally, several teams might do a bit of both. At 33 and 35, the A's aren't that far ahead of the Royals in the standings, so there's no guarantee the West Sacramento club will still be in buyer mode once the deadline rolls around. If the A's do remain in the hunt, and with the early signs from the American League West, rotation help is an obvious need, with the pitching staff entering Friday's action with a collective 4.64 ERA, ranking 26th of the 30 teams. Injuries to Luis Severino and Aaron Savali further thin what was already a shaky rotation to begin with, and a move to acquire Bubic for another prominent starter for immediate help doesn't seem likely, since the Royals are probably still hoping at this juncture to help turn their season around. The A's current starting 5 consists of Jeffrey Springs, JT Ginn, Jack Perkins, Gage Jump, and Cade Morris. The highly touted Jump tossed 6 1/3 shutout frames and has a 2.45 ERA over his first 13 1/3 innings of work, but the A's may not want to lean too hard on the idea of Jump keeping up this production throughout a playoff race. Soto Health Park has proven to be a daunting challenge for most starting pitchers, but Bubic could be a decent fit for the hitter-friendly venue. Bubic has done a good job at keeping the ball in the ballpark over his last 4 seasons, though naturally pitching at Kauffman Stadium has helped him in that regard. Bubic has a 45.7% ground ball rate over his career, with this season's 43.8% number a little below that norm. I don't think it can't hurt bringing him in, someone with a bit of veteran experience, someone that could eat up some innings. I would just be concerned at what the trade package would be and his health. If he's healthy, I think he adds some valuable innings to the rotation. I don't imagine this is going to be anything of a substantial prospect package that you would have to give up, especially considering that this is Bubic's walk year of his contract, so the Royals are hoping to recoup anything for his services. However, there are going to be a lot of teams on the buyer side of things this year, especially with the parity in the American League, that perhaps his value may increase to a higher level due to the market need. So it's going to have to see how that's going to all weigh up over these next several weeks leading up to that August trade deadline. But if he's there at the right price, I would love to see his addition to the A's pitching staff without a doubt. Before we preview the next opponent meeting the A's in Vegas for a weekend series, this episode is brought to you by Visit Mesa. Welcome to Mesa, Arizona, a destination for every season. Experience a destination where adventure, culture, and culinary experiences are limitless. As the gateway to the stunning Sonoran Desert and Tonto National Forest, Mesa invites you to explore its scenic waterways, kayak through winding canyons, or paddleboard along the Saw River. For a one-of-a-kind desert adventure, ride the waves of Revel Surf at Cannon Beach, the country's first surf park of its kind. Downtown Mesa is a vibrant hub, home to the Mesa Arts Center, public art, award-winning breweries, and local shops. Food lovers can explore the fresh foodie trail and the diverse flavors of Mesa's Asian district. Sports fans can experience MLB spring training with the Athletics and Chicago Cubs, or visit one of North America's largest youth sports complexes. As the world's first autism-certified city, Mesa is dedicated to accessibility and inclusivity for all visitors. All right, next up, in the week of the Las Vegas Showcase Series, we head into the weekend previewing their next opponent as the A's welcome in the Colorado Rockies to Las Vegas Ballpark in Summerlin. The Rockies come into Friday night's action, with a 26-43 record. They are led by manager Warren Schaefer, who ended up becoming the full-time manager this year after taking over the manager helm last season on the interim status. Their last series, they won 2 out of 3 from the Chicago Cubs. They took 2 out of 3. They won 7-3, 3-2, before losing the rubber match yesterday, 9-3. Here is how the Rockies rank offensively. They're hitting .249 as a batting average, which is 8th in baseball. They've hit 67 home runs, which is tied for 21st. They've scored 297 runs, which is tied for 15th. They've walked 214 times, which is tied for 22nd. They've struck out 621 times, which is the 5th most. And they've hit to a .715 OPS, which is 16th in baseball. On the mound, they've pitched it to a .556 ERA, and those tough conditions at Coors Field continue to rear its ugly head. That ERA is the worst in baseball. They've walked 231 batters, which is 15th. They've struck out 500 batters, which is 29th. And they've pitched to a .151 whip, which is also the worst mark in baseball. Defensively, they've fielded it at a .984 fielding percentage, which is 22nd in baseball, to go along with their 40 errors committed, also ranking 22nd league-wide. Here's how the Rockies project with their most consistent starting lineup. Leading off in center field, Jake McCarthy. Batting second, the right fielder, Tyler Freeman. Batting third, the first baseman, TJ Rumfeld. Batting fourth, the catcher, Hunter Goodman. Batting fifth, the left fielder, Troy Johnston. Batting sixth, the third baseman, Willie Castro. Batting seventh, the shortstop, Ezekiel Tovar. Batting eighth, the designated hitter, Sterling Thompson. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Edouard Julien. Now let's take a look at when you can enjoy the A's series all throughout this weekend, starting later tonight with game times and starting pitching matchups. Tonight's game is 7:05 p.m. Pacific time for first pitch. The Rockies, at the time of recording, still have not announced their starting pitcher for tonight, so we're unaware of that. We'll be sure to update you on social media. The A's will be sending left-handed pitcher Gage Jump to the mound to kick this series off. Tomorrow, Saturday, Game 2, also 7:05 p.m. Pacific time. Kyle Freeland will be getting the ball for the Rockies, going up against A's left-handed pitcher Jeffrey Springs. And the rubber match of this 3-game set on Sunday will be the first day game in Vegas to conclude this week in Vegas. 12:05 p.m. Pacific time first pitch. Tomoyuki Sugano will be going for the Rockies, going up against JT Gim. Now let's get to know at least the 2 starters that we know of in this Rockies rotation that the A's will be going up against. We're going to talk about Saturday's starter first, left-handed pitcher Kyle Freeland. On the year thus far, he's made 11 starts, going 1-6 with a 7.81 ERA. In 53 innings of work, he's walked 16 batters, struck out 45, and has pitched to a .170 whip. In his last start, he lost against the Brewers, going 5 innings, allowing 7 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 2 Ks. On the year thus far, his fastball has averaged 91.3 miles an hour. His chase percentage of 33.8 ranks in the 81st percentile of all qualified pitchers, to go along with a 6.3 walk percentage ranking in the 82nd percentile, according to Baseball Savant. Kyle Freeland is currently operating as a low-end depth starter whose underlying command and ability to miss bats are trending in the wrong direction. Despite a major milestone back on June 7th, where he became the Colorado Rockies' all-time franchise leader in innings pitched, his performance has significantly deteriorated following a mid-April stint on the 15-day injured list for left shoulder inflammation. As of this month, Freeland's baseline metrics reflect extreme struggles at high elevation and on the road as well. Freeland worked with the Rockies' new pitching coaches during the offseason to expand his pitch mix, though he has recently narrowed his focus back to core offerings to maintain consistency. His four-seam fastball, which he uses 27% of the time, sits around 91 to 92 miles an hour. He showed a slight tick up in velocity, 91.5 miles an hour, but it remains vulnerable to hard contact when left over the heart of the plate. His curveball, which he uses 22% of the time, sits at 82 miles an hour. It serves as his primary breaking pitch to generate vertical movement. His cutter, which he has used 17% of the time, sits at 87 miles an hour, primarily utilized to jam right-handed hitters and generate soft ground ball contact. His changeup sits at 87 as well, features decent fadeaway from righties, but has been punished when his mechanical timing is off. And his slider sits at 83, and he uses it 15% of the time, offers a tighter, later horizontal break to combat left-handed bats. Freeland aggressively experimented with his sweeper early in the year, but completely dropped it early this month because its profile was too similar to his standard curveball. Freeland remains a highly respected clubhouse leader and durable rotation compiler for a rebuilding Rockies team. However, his current profile presents minimal value in terms of keeping oppositions off the scoreboard and poses a liability in matchups. He is giving up far too many home runs, 13 and 53 innings of work, and lacks the swing and miss stuff to bail himself out of high traffic frames. Unless his command dramatically shifts to limit hard hit baseballs that plague him at Coors Field and this year on the road as well, he is projectable only as a back of the rotation innings eater, maybe shifting to the bullpen by season's end. As for Game 3 starter, this guy has had a bit more of success on the campaign thus far. Tomoyuki Sugano, the right-handed pitcher. He has made 12 starts this year thus far, pitching to a 5-4 record with a 3.98 ERA. In 63 and a third innings pitched, he's walked 18 batters, struck out 36, and has pitched to a 1.26 whip. He has pitched, his fastball has averaged 92.2 miles an hour on his fastball thus far. He has worked to a 6.8 walk percentage, which is in the 76th percentile of all qualified pitchers. Sugano is operating as a crafty command-first starting pitcher for the Colorado Rockies. At 36 years old, the former Japanese NPB legend has reinvented himself after an up-and-down MLB debut last year with the Orioles, evolving into Colorado's most reliable arm despite playing in a hitter-friendly environment. Sugano relies on a deep, six-pitch arsenal to keep hitters completely off balance, offsetting his lower-end velocity. He works with a four-seam fastball sinker, sits in the lower 90s, averaging 92.7 miles an hour. He uses the sinker to challenge right-handed hitters and generate ground balls. His splitter is his signature outpitch. It remains his primary weapon for chasing swings out of the zone. A cutter and sweeper slider, the cutter is deployed aggressively to neutralize right-handers, while the sweeping slider is his primary tool against lefties. His curveball is used sparingly around 8% of the time as a slow vertical change of pace weapon. Sugano features an upright, highly synchronized, and easily repeatable delivery. He counter-rotates his pelvis slightly at peak leg lift, establishing excellent downward momentum. A firm lead leg block helps him drive energy down the slope. Critically, his head stays incredibly quiet throughout his motion, which anchors his exceptional control and pitch tunneling capability. Some of his strengths include his elite strike zone command. Sugano rarely beats himself with walks, keeping a steady 2.6 walk per 9 rate in 2026. He works the corners of the zone relentlessly. He shows veteran poise and pitch sequencing. He excels at adding and subtracting from his pitches dynamically. Shifting speeds to mask his below-average raw stuff. He has adapted to Coors Field. After giving up an AL high 33 home runs in 2025, Sugano has intentionally altered his plan to keep the ball on the ground. He has kept the ball in the yard in 3 of his last 4 starts. Some weaknesses or things he needs to build upon: his fringe bat missing ability. Sugano profiles squarely as a pitch-to-contact starter. His 15.7% strikeout rate sits in the lower percentiles of baseball, leaving him highly reliant on the defense behind him. Hard contact vulnerability: because he throws plenty of strikes without elite velocity, any loss of precision on his corners results in a high barrel rate and dangerous fly balls. So that's a little bit of the scouting report. The 2 starters that we do know that the A's are going to go up against from this Rockies starting rotation. Again, we will provide an update on social media as soon as the Rockies announce who is starting this game. I'm imagining it's going to be an opener, so expected to be a reliever to start the first inning or 2 before they transition to a starter or a reliever, a long reliever that's going to be the bulk guy in this one. So something to keep an eye on. So in their past meetings, there's not a ton of hitter history, but against Freeland, Shea Langoliers is 2 for 2 with a double and a triple. Brent Rooker's 2 for 2 lifetime, and Jonah Heim is 1 for 5 lifetime. That one was a home run. Against Tomoyuki Sugano, Tyler Soderstrom is 3 for 6, Heim 2 for 3, Butler 2 for 5 with a double, and Kurtz 1 for 3. Last year, when these 2 teams faced off, the A's won the series in Colorado 2 out of 3. Back when these 2 teams faced off on April 4th to 6th, the A's won 6-3 and 7-4 before the Rockies salvaged the 3rd game of that 3-game set by their offense exploding, winning 12-5 in that one. Just going to give you a few Rockies to keep an eye out for this weekend series. They are led offensively by catcher and their all-star representative a year ago, catcher Hunter Goodman. He's hitting .244 in the year thus far with 18 home runs, 33 RBIs, hitting to an .836 OPS. Also, another slugger first baseman, TJ Rumfeld. He's hitting .270 on the year with 8 home runs, 31 RBIs, and a .784 OPS. And another offensive contributor who's leading the team with a .315 batting average, Troy Johnston. He'll be playing in left to go along with that .315 batting average, hitting 2 home runs, 28 RBIs, also leading the team with 20 doubles and hitting to an .805 OPS. Now, let's get to some prediction times. We are going to predict for the A's. As for who is going to homer this weekend, we believe that catcher Shea Langoliers is going to homer at least once in this series. And as for our series prediction, we don't really know how these 2 offenses are going to square off. We expect a lot of runs to be scored once again. It's hard to predict the numbers, but we are going to predict that the A's are going to win this series and take 2 out of 3 and be 2 out of 2 with their Vegas series. We do believe they'll win tonight 11-5, win tomorrow 13-4, before the Rockies storm back to salvage the 3rd game set 10-7 on Sunday. We really do feel like we are going to be treated to a lot of offensive fireworks in this one, so stay tuned. Again, first pitch tonight, 7:05 p.m. Pacific time. Rockies, A's from Las Vegas Ballpark in Summerlin. An excellent way to continue the showcase to the A's future long-term market. And with that, that brings us to the close of another edition of A's Day. On today's show, we talked about what went down in the wild start to the Vegas experience as the A's took 2 out of 3 from the Brewers, as well as talking about a trade rumor where the A's may have some interest in bringing on Kris Bubic to add depth to this A's rotation that has battled injury and ineffectiveness at times. And then before getting on out of here, we previewed their next opponent, the Colorado Rockies, who are in Vegas for 3 to cap that week-long Las Vegas experience to showcase the Athletics to the fans in that market, their future home in 2028. We predicted that Shea Langoliers is going to homer this weekend and that the A's are going to be victorious in this series once again, taking 2 out of 3 before returning home to West Sacramento. Hope you all are able to enjoy the A's baseball this weekend. We will be back behind the mic once again for Monday's show, as we will be sure to recap what goes down over the weekend against the Rockies, as well as any other A's news that comes across our desk, and previewing their next series as the A's are back home in West Sacramento at Sutter Health Park as they take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll be sure to preview that series, give our home run and series predictions as usual. That's all I have for you today. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grotto. Thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate your support here of us here at A's Day, supporting this young team that is ascending in the right direction. An exciting series, thrilling victory against the Brewers. Let's see the good times keep on rolling all throughout the weekend against the Rockies team that the A's should handle. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you right here back behind the mic for Monday's show. Until next time, Holy Toledo, let's go A's.